Hello, and welcome to the next Substack live series starting from zero. And I'm very grateful this morning because, Ellen, it's very early where you are, but you were here, you were ready for it, you're ready for the conversation, and I cannot wait to give you a proper introduction. But I just wanted to say, thank you for all the birthday messages that have come in over the weekend. It's just been a magical experience being here, and the level of support, the friendship, the kind notes, everything. I just want to share a little bit of gratitude with you all today for the support for this series, but also for the kind notes. So thank you. And Ellen, your message on the weekend was just gorgeous as well. And I think that lays the foundation of our conversation today. But before we get started with that, I just want to sort of like roll it back to our very, very, very first days on Substack, because we did not know each other just a few months ago.
Right.
And we were both on Substack in very different ways. And we've had a relationship evolve, blossom, and just be nurtured. And it's just so yummy that's the reason why I want to have this conversation today. But before we get started, it's always you interviewing everybody else, because that's the generous person that you are. And I want to do a role reversal today and have this time with you, and for you to share the incredible talent, wisdom, song expertise that you have as well. So I would love you to introduce yourself to those of you who are watching who haven't actually met you before. So I'm going to hand over the mic straight to you.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. And oh, Sarah, happy birthday, my darling. It's going to be an amazing year, as you know. So first, I will introduce myself. My name is Ellen Newhouse. I am an author, singer-songwriter now. I have been, for the last 36 years, in private practice, integrating acupuncture with sound healing, energy medicine, and transformational coaching. And now I am Sarah's accountability buddy and friend. And Sarah, I have to tell you the most amazing thing. I have to tell you, because last night I was just looking through some things and I found a magic book. And in this magic book, it is the year 2026. And I know, Sarah, I got goosebumps. I was like, oh my God, I have to tell Sarah this. And in it, I wrote about meeting my tribe of people, because I had been so suffering on Instagram. And I described an accountability buddy and woman. I'm just saying, you are in my book. You're in my book. I mean, it's crazy. I could not have wished for a better accountability buddy. And you know, it's interesting when, like, I have lots of friends in many, many places in the world, in Seattle where I live. But when you have a friend who maybe not necessarily knows your business or is interested, right? It's quite different. And on Instagram, it moves so fast. I mean, I was just, my head, I felt whiplash. I literally felt one day, I was like, I'm in a washing machine, and it's just like, and it's just exploding. And it moves at a pace that it was not good for my soul. And everybody kept saying Substack, and I was like, no, not one more effing. I'm trying to be polite. Not one more in social media. I can't do it.
Yeah.
And yet finally somebody convinced me and I came on over. And in our friendship, we are both girls together, which I love. Like before we got on, I was like, Sarah, you'd love this dress. It's very Hamptons. And Sarah lives on the East Coast, and I used to live there. And so it's beautiful that we have this, not just business, but also a friendship of the heart. And I'm grateful, really grateful.
And I'm grateful for you, because just to give some context to the story, I'm now in the US. I was originally from the UK, and 8 years ago we moved over to the US, and that's partly why the publication is called Starting from Zero, because we truly were starting from zero, with leaving our family, leaving our friends, leaving my business back in the UK, and not having anybody as a go-to. And what these 8 years have taught me is that it is about finding your people. And for such a long time, there was an online community space that we had, which is great. But there was also this context of actually really being in person, which is where the focus has been, of nurturing these relationships. And for the first 3 years of not having an online community, of not having an in-person community, it crushed me.
Yeah.
I felt alone. I didn't know who I was. I just felt completely overwhelmed with like not knowing what to do, what to go, where to go, and everything. Fast forward to now, some of my best friends are watching here today because they've been loving this live series as well. But also now, fast forward into our relationship that we've met, that actually then when you do meet your people, you meet your people. And
Absolutely.
it's a click. It's like, we've got Betty watching here today. We've got Gail watching. We've got Jackie. All these people that we've nurtured relationships with, that whether it be online or offline. But as you go through the years, ironically, like celebrating the birthday on the weekends, my husband said, do you feel a year older? And I said, you know what? Like this year, the numbers have gone out of the window. It's irrelevant. It's how it's feeling in here, and it's how your energy is feeling. That is.
Well, my darling, as your elder sister, I mean, come on. I mean, and I love it because there are so many women. I really thought I was going to be speaking to women like my age. And I am so delighted to find that it's very much like my private practice. In private practice, I see everybody from about 27, 25 into their 70s, and I love it. And I'm finding the same thing here, in that we can really support women our age, but also younger women who are coming up, who are going, oh my God, I've heard about that thing called perimenopause. Is it like, are you going to die? And I'm like, no, you're not going to die, I promise you. And, and like women like, your age, that I can look at and say, oh, sister, don't you worry for a second, because, age is a thing, especially in America. I don't find it so much in Europe at all. Here in America, we are just youth, like hypnotized, and yeah, I love being able to turn to you and say, are you kidding me? You are so young. Please, 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 like enjoy this youth that you have, and relish in it. So I've really loved this part of Substack. I didn't imagine women so much younger really engaging, and they love the sound healing. So it's really, it's been great for that. I love that. And I love being a mentor.
Well, so firstly, just I feel like the luckiest girl in the world for us to be in touch, because it's not always about the encouragement. Sometimes it is about the grounding. And so, and you see it. Last week we had a conversation. She was like, girl, get your feet on the floor. You buckle up. You're going to be in for a ride this year, but I'm going to be that person that's going to keep you on the ground. And I'm like, hallelujah. They're the people that you need. And I think that that's why I think the conversation here about that is so important for the good times, but also the deeper trenches. And I think that's why Substack has been so incredible for this, is that it's not the surface level stuff. And I think that's why we're here for this. And so I'd like to touch on your lives for a second as well, because that was the very first thing that we did. We went live together. It was like, hey, you look at, like, I love what you're doing. I love what you're creating. I'm thinking of going live on here. Let's go live together. We did not know what was going to unfold from that conversation. But then what you do that's very unique in your lives is at the end, you do a sound healing. So can you just tell us a little bit about your idea around that and what the results of that have been?
Sure. So When I turned 26 years old, I had just gotten a year and a half earlier the biggest job of my life. I was living in New York City, working for Vanity Fair magazine, and it was dreamy. And a year and a half later, 26, I woke up and I couldn't breathe. This took me on quite a journey, 2 years in Western medicine, and I took all the medications, did all the things, and 2 years later, I still was really struggling to breathe. And so, long story short, I got on my hands and knees and I prayed to God. I was like, listen, I'm not ready to die. I don't want to die, but I don't know what to do. And I was so scared and talk about alone. Ooh, very, very alone at that time because Western alternative medicine didn't exist the way it does today. So there weren't people like me who could offer another approach. Anyway, long story short, I committed to praying like no other business. And because I couldn't work, I mean, I was really not well. And within 1 month, I was completely changed. Now, people today think it's great in that I started to hear voices and they're like, oh my God, that's amazing. And I'm like, no, actually, it wasn't amazing. It was very scary because unfortunately, I grew up with a mother who was mentally ill and would be frightened to death by things and people that I could not see. So, and she was in and out of mental institutions. So my whole life I had fought desperately against ever getting her disease. And now I'm hearing voices and I'm going, oh my God. So I had two choices at that point to make. I could decide, well, here I go down her track, or, and this was the choice I made, that these were people or angels or guides, if you will, who had information to give me. I chose that choice and I started to listen. But Sarah, I mean, you live in New York, you know. I mean, at that time, so we're talking, 40 years ago, um, almost actually 39, because I just turned 67. And, and, they were bringing me to people in dark alleys and to places in Harlem. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so frightened to death. I mean, I was certain that every single person I encountered was going to kill me. And, so at the end of another 2 years, I was well enough to go back to work. And I figured I'd do high level sales, made interviews. At every single interview, I began to experience all the same symptoms. So I was like, okay, clearly God does not want me going in that direction. So again, at 3 a.m., I got on my hands and knees and I said, what do you want from me? And without hesitation, and this really scared me, a voice that was not mine said, you are a healer. Need to do your healing work. And I was like freaked out. I have a degree in economics, I have a degree in international relations. I do not at that point have any degrees in healing. And I am like, oh, great. Now I'm going to become a witch doctor. So, I mean, that's how it felt, right? So I was very dutiful to God. I said, okay, I'll find an office. I found an office. And when I like kind of set the office up, because I had no idea what I was going to be doing, I had a click and I knew I could outwit God. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, all right. So I got back on my hands and knees. I was like, listen, you need to bring me people. I didn't even know what to call them at that time, right? And God says, no problem. And my phone literally started ringing and it has never stopped ringing. And it freaked me out. All of this, like, I was not like the groovy chick, like, yeah, I'm going to be like this hippie groovy chick. No, no, no. I was very, very conservative at that time. And so I said, well, what am I going to do? And God said, you're going to sit and listen to people, and then you're going to open your mouth and you're going to let the information come out of your mouth. And I was like, oh my God. Talk about a level of trust, Sarah. And I did it. But what I quickly realized, so basically, today we would call me a channel. And but what I realized very quickly is that people were taking in all this information and then they were coming back and I said, "Well, what did you do with the information you got 6 weeks ago?" Nothing. And I went back to God and I said, "No, no, no. We are not doing no, no, no. You know me, Sarah, enough to know we're not doing this." I
Nope.
said, "Give me something else to do because I don't want to become everyone's best addiction."
Oh,
So, yes.
oh,
So, these same guides began to teach me an energy work that I worked off of the body with my hands. And within another 6 weeks, they insisted I use my voice, Sarah. I was like, no, this is where we draw the line. Absolutely not. I mean, like you have to understand, 40 years ago, singing into people's bodies, I don't think so. Right? I mean, no, no, no. Well, they gave me the most horrific headache, like horrific. And when I connected the dots 3 days later, I said, okay. And my very first patient, who I still know today, um, she was really, her brother had just died. She was living in hell and she had done something to her knee. And I said, well, they're telling me to put information into your knee. And she goes, girl, you do whatever you need to do. I'm in hell. Get me out of hell. And I said, okay. And the strangest sound, Sarah. I mean, and she starts bawling. And I'm like, oh God. And later, and I had known her long enough to be able to say, what did you experience? What the heck is going on here? And she was able, her brother had unfortunately committed suicide. And with the sound, she could release the grief in her
yeah,
body.
yeah. Wow.
Oh, I have goosebumps,
Wow, it's
goosebumps.
just
Yes.
incredible. Carry on. I need more because I need to give you a bit of it just yes. Please carry on. Because it's
So,
all
yeah, so today, I mean, so I've been doing sound healing now for September will be 37 years. And what I understand, and believe me when I say what I understand, because first and foremost, I am a channel. Because when people say, oh my God, you're so brilliant. Well, yes, I am. Thank you.
yes, you are.
But
Yeah.
the truth is that the energy is coming through me. So it's the divine energy that works through me. And I have made this agreement, to be a vessel. So when I do the sound healing, the sounds, I never know what is going to come out. And on the lives, especially, that's been very interesting. It's one thing working one on one with people, it's another thing when you're working with lots of people. Very, very different energy. So the energy, you might think of it like a light language or a divine blessing. It's really the best way to describe it, because it has in the sound, it has information and it reaches people's hearts and their souls in ways that I could never even imagine being able to do. So I get out of my way, like my thinking had a lot about what it is. I I've always had a dream and that somebody could put like things, nodes, or instruments
Yeah.
on people and that
Yeah.
I could sing into them and they could study it. Today, Dr. Joe Dispenza does that,
Yes.
and so one day maybe they'll do it. But my latest dream was to be able to take that language, that energy, and put it into regular music so that I could reach a broader audience. And I think I'm able to do it. We'll see. You know that I just completed the writing of my first album. Um, and so I'm taking that same energy and putting it into, what is considered, regular pop music. So,
It's just so special. So just to like complement what you were saying about the sound, and actually the sound healing as well, because one of the things that, like, to the beginning of this conversation that we've had, is saying about moving here and losing myself, of having panic attacks, anxiety, just like my chest feeling, so it was actually hurting.
Yes.
And so there was that and there's a story that I have, and it's very, very special and magical. And it was that I was living here in the US, and all of my clients and all of my friends were back in the UK. And back in the UK, one of the careers that I had, of my many hats that I wore, was that I was a professional photographer, and I complemented it with photography and brand and marketing and all of it in a one-stop shop. So my friend phones me and she said, Sarah, I would love you to come back to the UK, and I would love a photo shoot. And I was like, okay, that sounds good. An excuse for me to get back to the UK and spend some time with my friends. So that I arrived there, camera, kit, everything. And we actually went and stayed in a place called Glastonbury. Now, if you've heard of that, it's where all the airlines are. It's like, it's so potently special with the spirituality, all of this. And I wasn't like hugely into any of that at this stage, but whenever I spent time with my friend Nikki, it was what you were saying, it's addictive, because it's like you soak it up and want that as well. And so we arrived, and we actually stayed in a temple, and underneath the temple was where all the healing ceremonies took place, and we were in the bedroom above the temple.
How did you sleep? Oh my God, that has me.
Wow. So I arrived there. I'm getting goosebumps now as well. I arrive, walk in the room, and on the bed is a gift and a card. And inside, so I was like, what's this? She's like, my friend, just to let you know, you are not here for a photo shoot this weekend. You are here for 3 days of healing, and to learn how you can heal yourself whenever you need it at any given time. And so I just like burst into tears. Like, what's this? And I've got shin bumps. It's always good when I know there's shin bumps. And so what was inside there was tuning forks. And she'd given me the tuning fork to return to balance whenever I need it. And for 3 days, she taught me how to put energy into my body at different frequencies, in different locations. One that had a little a ball on the end of it, and it's the that you put on your heart. So if you hear any, if you feel any bubbling rising of any anxiety or anything like that, you can ding the fork, put it on your heart, and it neutralizes the rhythm of it. It was it saved my life. From medication, from all of the other things around it, I was able to self-heal through sound. So when you say that this is your calling, it really is your calling. And as I've been through, I don't know if you knew that story, but that was like a really huge pivotal moment in knowing that everything was going to be okay, because I'd always had this vision that we could get to a point within us with the right support unit around us, with the right people doing the right things, but also ourselves, like coming home to ourselves and doing like a body scan of feeling, what do I need to be today? Who can I be today? What does my body need today? And all of these little messages, exactly what you're saying there, of like listening to the signals. But it took a friend to gift that to me,
and I think that's the beautiful friend. I mean, I'm a friend who really gets you and understands that you're such a giver, that she had to fool you into being able to receive,
exactly.
I mean, and what a beautiful friend. Yeah.
And I think that's part of the conversation here of actually, I mean, our friend Julie, who I'm going to be speaking to Julie later in the week about, she has an incredible community. Yeah. But also with this friendship, even with us now, we want to show up for each other. And so sometimes it's not just about the celebration and those things. It's actually, if you say you're going to do something, you show up Like it's
Absolutely.
there. And there's certain people in your life in person and here. It's like, Ellen, if you phone me and you said, Sarah, SOS call, I'd be like,
Yes.
where do you want me? How do you want me? What has it been? And the same offline as well. We've got one friend, Patty, who I think is going to be watching this today, and she gifts us the opportunity of a girls' weekend twice a year. And she's a teacher, so she's busy that whole time. But what she does is she says, okay, girls, it's girls' weekend on this day. We're going at this time and we're going from here to here. And we're like, we're in, we're 3 minutes early, so then that she can pull up her car, finish from school, we're packed our bags, and it's like a military operation because we know that she has a plan, but that's all that's expected in return of like, let's show up and do our part and do our thing. And I think that equates beautifully to Substack as well, of like, don't just come and say a nice comment and then leave. Actually, no,
Yes.
it's the engagement, it is the conversations, it is the conversations in a direct message or even a live or a short Zoom with somebody to get to know somebody, to nurture this friendship and relationship so that you can be there for each other. What do you feel about this essence of like, one, accountability, but also like showing up as well?
Yes.
What's your
Well,
version?
and Julie brought something up, and I want to bring it into this conversation. So thank you, Julie, when you watch this. Because I had an experience and I almost reached out to you over the weekend because it was shocking to me. So I got called out by one of my mentors the way I had called you out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And it was all about, having the main thing be the main thing because both
Yeah.
you and I can get very excited and get drawn into 1,000 directions.
Yeah.
And so it was really being called out about my singing. And last week I had the week off from her because she was out. And I thought, great, I'll put in all the times that I show up for her and myself, right? All the times that she's gone, I'll put in those times for singing. I didn't write them in. And Sarah, I had to own that I did not show up for me.
Mm. Ouch.
So,
Ouch.
ouch is right. And boy, did I have a good old cry. And it brought up, it was even deeper than that. What I realized as we worked it out together
Yeah.
is that in my growing up, as you know, I grew up in a very violent family. It was not safe for me to focus on me. It
Mhm.
was not safe to have joy in my body. So, so to Julie's point and to your question, I think in order to really be a good friend, you have to show up and be a good friend to yourself first.
Love. Yes. Yes.
And the more you befriend yourself on many different levels, the more you can befriend everyone. Now, some of us have natures like my nature has always been like, hi, want to be my friend? I mean, it has always been this way. But the more I befriend myself, the better friend I can be to others.
Mm. That's
Uh,
yummy.
yeah.
Yummy.
And on Substack, I really want to say, because I ran into it yesterday or over the weekend, somebody said, could you, be there for my friend? And I checked out his friend's thing, and his friend's thing was all, give me, give me, give me, give me, give me, give me, give me. And I was like, I wrote back very openly and I said, in order to receive, it's easier to receive when we give.
Yes.
Because he doesn't understand that he's screaming, look at my, writing, read my writing. That's not how life works. It really isn't. So we really have to come to Substack the way we come to a neighborhood. And
Yes.
you wouldn't sit inside of your house and say, why is nobody coming to say hello to me? You just wouldn't. You wouldn't, right? And yet
No.
we all do this. It's like, I'm in my house. Aren't you coming to visit me? Well, could you put a shingle out and let us know that you're even home, put a light on? or come outside and say hi. And I think that's the beauty of Substack. Once you come out and say hello, oh my
Mhm.
God, people are so wanting to be in relationship. They're wanting to be in community, but not a lot of people know how to initiate that kind of friendship. So, we had it because we're both kind of those people. So it
Yeah.
was very easy to say, oh, hey, I like you, let's get together, let's have a chat. And not everybody is as extroverted. And I know you consider yourself an introvert, which I'm not sure about, but whatever.
A bit of both. A bit of
Yes,
both.
I think you're both. And so, even if you're introverted, I think there's a way to extend yourself to say, hey, I'm looking for people who blah, 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 you
Yeah.
know? And I think the more you engage in really extending yourself in not just liking, it's like not like being like Instagram where you just run around liking, because that doesn't give the person that information. And yes, I know you can't spend time with everybody, giving everybody all their information, but I think, I like Philip's model.
Yeah.
If you, so Philip of Right Build,
Scale.
Right, thank
Right.
you, Right Build Scale. And his theory is 10-5-1. So every time you make a post, then you go on and you like 10 other people's things, and then you actually put comments. And that's like a way to extend yourself to
Yeah.
somebody. And so I think, friendships don't happen overnight. And I think the more we can learn to give to the community and give of ourselves,
Yeah.
I think the more friendships we're going to have on Substack and everywhere in life.
I agree. And I think what you said is so important about being your own best friend first,
Yes.
because I'm going to take it back to my mum. So my mum is
Ooh.
away from a lot of things. Oh, are you okay? Oh, Ellen's just frozen for a second, so I'm going to keep on
And
talking.
you froze for a second, but we're here. Okay,
But
we
we're
are
here.
here.
And she
Okay.
would always, she would not do something, and then she would say, I'm my own worst enemy. And I made a promise that I would never say that to myself, because one of the conversations I had with her was like, why would you be when your own worst enemy when really you should be your own best friend? And actually, when you become your own best friend like that, that makes things like this much easier, like doing a live. It's
Yeah.
not in anybody's real comfort zone, really. I mean, like over the period, this is now an outlet that I really enjoy because it's a real conversation. It's
Yeah.
not something that AI can replicate. You get an essence of who the person is as a character, and
Mm.
and you can have a conversation because this is us in flow. We're not scripted. We're not doing any of those things. And I think that when you are your best friend like that, it's easier to show up like this, or it's easier to write words from the heart, because you're not doing it for the likes, the shares, and or to be an influencer. You are doing it for the impacts that you want to have on yourself and other people as well, which I think is a great takeaway point. But and just to end this session beautifully, I'd like to move it back to what you're doing now, because you are such an inspiration, and I want to be the friend that's cheerleading for you, because you are you've written an album, you're singing, you're going to do a world tour, like come
Yeah.
on,
I
like
know.
can
I
you
know.
tell us about what the plan is for this last part of the year heading into the new year, just so that other people can know what's possible, and as your new friends, how we can all help you support that and put that out into the world, that actually by you having a circle of friendship here on Substack, let us know what we can do and what you're doing.
Oh, you're such a love. So it has been a dream of mine to, as I said, to bring this divine energy that flows through me into regular music. So starting 2 years ago, I started writing for the first time. I've always written, I wrote a memoir. I've always written in long form. And I had no idea I could write music. And it started because I was having a very hard time. I was really in so much grief after 2020. My mother died to end it. I mean, it's a long story. But so I found music and I have been writing now for the last 2 years. The album is called Reclaiming My Voice, so aptly for this conversation. And the songs are just beautiful. And again, I really feel I've been in the flow of the divine feminine, just flowing through me. I mean, the songs, the last song, Sarah, I just finished like the end of last week, and it's called The Nectar of Your Soul. I mean, come on. I mean, right? I mean, and originally that song was called I'm Here, and it's really
Mm.
about arriving here, arriving in my heart home, finally, after all these years of all the work. So we start, the first song is called Dream Stealer, and we start from the wound all the way through joy. The sound of light is the second to last song, and it's so joyous. It's such like an anthem of joy. And then we end in a more intimate song with the nectar of your soul. So yeah, so I'm starting so I'm writing a show that will go along with the album, that will launch the album. And Sarah, all of a sudden you'll be so excited to hear all these musicians have started to show up, because that was the one thing where I was like, I don't know what am I doing, blah blah blah. And so a lot of intentional focusing. All of a sudden everyone is showing up, and I'll start in Seattle, and then I have a long list of places to go in the US. And it's also, I was working with my mentor over the weekend, and she said, Ellen, your work needs to be in TV shows and on film. And so that's also going to be part of the plan for this year. Because she's like, listen, we need to do collaboration, because let's make your life easier rather than you having to do all the work. And I love that. So I think collaboration is so important, like we're doing right now, you know? So
Absolutely.
if I have one bit of advice for people, I mean, one is to absolutely befriend yourself. The second is to be in collaboration, be in community, be in friendship with others, because it makes it so much easier. So,
So beautiful. And so to accompany this live, what happens is that
yes.
we take everything that we've spoken about today, and it actually goes into a long form article as well. So you'll get all of the details of how you can listen to Ellen on Spotify, a link to her community. And if you're not already following, sort of like, just if you've enjoyed today, I definitely subscribe for more, because the lives that you do with the sound healings at the end are just, they're delicious. And I'm hoping that you're going to have a little bit of a wait list started of how people can know what show is happening in their area. But if you're connected, I'm sure you'll be sharing that. But I just want to say thank you. Like, thank you for being the friend that I wish I had all that time ago. But thank you for allowing me to become the friend that I want to become as well. And I think that's what this is all about, is a mutual of exchange of energy, of finding like-minded people that you click with, that you can be more yourself than you've ever been before. And it's people like you, and it's people about the friendships that we've made offline as well, that allow you to just show up as your authentic self. And I think that's the aim of a good friendship, and being accountable in doing so. So Ellen, thank you. Is there any
Oh.
final words that you would like to say before we end today's live?
Well, thank you for having me. This is the first time I've been a guest,
I
so thank you for that. And thank you for everyone who has come and shared in this conversation. And I just adore you, and I'm so grateful. It has been such a beautiful relationship and friendship, and I cannot wait to hug you in person. That's like my thing.
Exactly. That is just going to be the best feeling when we get to hug in person. And for those that have joined us today, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. If you missed Friday's session with Jennifer Villasante, I'll put a link to that in the notes below. And also, if you're enjoying this, I have a session tomorrow, which is talking about building a bestseller on Substack. And that's with Sinem Gunal from Build Right Scale. We need to get it the right way around, but Cinema will be joining us. She is rocking it on Substack with Philip and Yari, so you'll want to tune in for that as well. But for now, thank you for joining us, and we will see you again very soon. Thank you so much, Ellen. Love you to pieces. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.